Alright, so I did a small short video about how we fix wiring and stuff like that, and it was kind of basic about just how we do connections. And today I'm going to finish up this wiring nightmare here, this mess that we got going on. Now, I don't want to bring my wire back and have a bunch of splices and all that stuff out in the weather. So fortunately, you guys follow us very often, we take tons of boxes off of box trucks. And when I do, if someone's using it for storage, I pull this wiring harness off. And this wiring harness basically goes onto the factory wiring. It plugs in here. We don't need all that, but we have one line in that takes care of our left turn, right turn, parking lights, ground, and backup. Takes care of all that. Now, what's really nice about this is it comes into this molded junction that is a sealed unit, and you can't get it inside there. It's made by Truck Light, and then it brings out one leg to the left, which would be our yellow. For our yellow would be our left turn. It gives us everything we need on this side. It gives us ground, parking lights, left turn, and backup, all on that side. And then it has another one that comes to the right, and it does the same thing. Ground, parking lights, left turn, and backup. It's all right here. And then it also gives us a fourth one that comes out, which gives us ground, parking lights, left turn, and right turn. All right, what's really nice about that is we can come out of this and go to our 7-pin. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to solder in this, and then I'm not using this whole thing. I'm just using the cable end because they've already got a couple heat shrink splices on here. And this is kind of like a pet peeve of mine. If you're going to use heat shrink splices, don't use crimp tool that punctures the heat shrink. And you should probably heat shrink it. Anyways, we're not going to be using this part. We're going to be cutting it off way back in here somewhere. We just want it to come. We're going to solder into our factory wire. We're going to mount that junction here or under here. And we're going to come out and go to here and go to here and have us a real nice, neat, clean installation, we hope. So let's get at it. So I decided to mount it on this bracket. This bracket was originally here for a backup alarm, so I avoided the holes that they used for the backup alarm before. Even though most backup alarms I've seen, they give you multiple options how to mount it, so it's not really a big deal. I don't know if we're adding one or not, and they have provisions, like right here, for a backup alarm, which I believe that's what that one was, if I remember right. One of these is, but anyways. So now I have this mounted, and I don't want this to be a real sharp turn. I want it to come out, and I'm going to shove it back here a fair distance, somewhere where it's not going to interfere here, it's not going to rub, but I can zip tie it to the line that's here, which will give me a lot of extra room. So now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to identify these wires. We're going to temporary them on to our existing ones. We're going to test this harness and make sure it's good. Everything was working on this truck, but you have no idea if a mouse chewed on it or what could have happened between the time that I took it off and the time that we're using it. So we're going to test all that real quick, and once we know it's good, then we're going to splice these on permanent. Now we do this splice. What I'm going to do is I'm going to stagger. I'll put one cut here with a solder. Next one will be here, next one will be here, and so on and so forth. So they're staggered, and it doesn't make this great big lump of wires. And then we put some big heat shrink over top of our our splices that are already heat shrinked. So hopefully we'll keep the water out of there, and then we'll find a way to route these over to the lights. Alright, so we're going to use a 1/4-inch bolt, and to hook up our ground, we're also going to add, these are serrated washers. they will bite into the metal. I keep them in this little case. I don't know, some terminals came in it or something. I'm going to put one on each side of the steel frame. That, another one here, and then the ground wire. And I've already got deox on there because we have two dissimilar metals we're working with here. I like to leave extra wire, so if ever this breaks off or something like that, at least there's wire that are serviced with, like you could, you know, solder it back on and do it again. It's just a 1/4 inch bolt. I can't get too crazy with it, but that's that. Alright, so I'll get some zip ties now, and I'll get this zip tied in here, bring this around to the top, and get all this zip tied in real nice. So I'm working this wire into this light, and one little trick I like to use is pull wire. So there's two springs in here, and I want to go down below them. So I pulled the factory wiring out, and I fished in this piece of wire the way I wanted it and made sure I was underneath both of them springs in the front. So there's a big valley here. So what I did is fish this through, and I take the wire, strip it back, and solder it on, and then kind of tape it up to make it like a ramp up to that insulated covering here, and then just pull it through. Got it in, and I'm testing my wires because as I open this up, we have different colors than we had here. So what we end up with is this is turn signal. The red is backup, white is ground. The brown and the black I have tied together down here for tail lights, marker lights, whatever you want to call them. Now, inside this light bar, it has, as you can see here, 3 wires. So it has a ground, marker light, and a turn signal. That's all that's in there. We are going to cap the backup light. So I will cut that off, fold it over. I'll probably heat shrink it. I'll put some deox on the end of it, heat shrink it, fold it over, and heat shrink it again. And if we ever want to change this and put backup lights in here, we can. It has backup lights down here, which I think I have a couple LEDs. We'll probably use those. I don't think I really want any backup lights on that. I think I'd rather have them down here. So these will all be marker lights, stop lights, turn signals, as you would see them. So now I'm going to start soldering this together. Alright, there's one side done, that's park and turn signal. So now we can start on this side. Alright, so here's the other side done. Now it's time to strap these up on the back of here. I think I'm going to drill 2 holes. I'm going to get some straps, some of them rubber insulated straps or something to hold up there. Alright, so here's a close-up of my ground. This is a ring terminal that I've soldered this wire into, and then use them serrated washers I was telling you about. So you look on the outside, there's a washer, regular flat washer, a serrated washer, and then on this side there's a serrated washer, and then the eyelet, the ring terminal, a flat washer, a lock nut, or lock washer I mean, and a nut. And then I painted it so that I primed it and painted it so that it won't rust as fast. And then I've got everything zip tied into place now. And like I said, these, I didn't get this on video, but I drilled this. This is probably a 4 by I don't know, 4x8 piece of box, and I drilled it and tapped it here and over here. Where the heck is it? There it is. Boy, it's so hard to get the camera in the right spot upside down, but there it is. Right up in there. So that's, those have never sees on them, and then a lock washer also, so they won't come out. And then all my wiring is zip tied to those on the back side. And I wanted it down below here because you never know when a trailer will come down. Like maybe you go to disconnect from a trailer and the dollies sink, and if it was up above here, it could grab them. I don't want that. Anyways, I just want to show you that detail of that ground, because that's a very, very important piece right there. And I want to make sure we got a nice, good, solid ground. There we go. Got turn signals on both sides, parking lights, and backup lights. And got a 7-pin taken care of. So we are ready. The only thing left to do is, I guess, we'll make that another video. Got to do the pitman seal on the gearbox. We'll get that next time. Anyways, if you guys like what we're doing, give us a thumbs up. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. Leave your comments down below, guys. We'll catch you on the next one.